What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be discussing Beetlejuice and how big I think it can actually be at the box office on its opening weekend and overall. So, Beetlejuice is doing something very interesting right now. So, what I have pulled up on the screen right here is Box Office Pro, and what they do is they do these long range forecasts where they do box office tracking each week. So they have Beetlejuice tracking for a month from when it releases, and then 3 weeks it gives you an update, 2 weeks, 1 week, and then the film comes out. And so we're 2 weeks away from this film hitting theaters, and at first, their first long-range forecast a month before the film came out, or I believe a couple weeks ago, they put out a thing that said that they thought Beetlejuice had a shot to do $60 to $80 million was where they thought it was going to go. And that is incredible. If it was able to get to that point, that would be amazing. If it could have an $80 million opening, that would be phenomenal in September. There's only been one other film that opened over $100 million in September in box office history, and that was the It movie back in 2017. But even It Chapter 2 only opened at $91 million. It wasn't able to replicate the success of the original. So could Beetlejuice really open to $100 million? No, I didn't think it would. I don't think anybody thought Beetlejuice had a shot at $100 million. 60 to 80 seemed pretty good. Like, that seemed pretty legit. That would probably be where it ended up opening. And I even thought 80 was a bit optimistic, but I mean, that's why it's on the high end, right? If it was able to get to that point, that would be absolutely incredible. It needs good word of mouth and everything. But then, just last week, okay, they did the long-range forecast for Speak No Evil and whatever came out a month from when they did it, but they also give you updates each week on the films that are about to come out. So on the long-range forecast of The Killer's Game and Speak No Evil, which they were doing, they do these tracking updates as of that date. And it had Beetlejuice 75 to $100 million the very next weekend. So then I was like, wow, if this thing can open to $100 million, that would be incredible. Even just $90 million, that's insane. Like, my mind was blown looking at that. I was like, there's no way it went up that much in just a week. I mean, it went from 60 to 80 to 75 to 100. Like, that's a huge jump. And I was like, surely that's where it's going to sit. There's no way it goes higher, until a couple days ago when they posted the long range forecast for Transformers 1, which they're calling it at 40 to 50 million, which is very respectable for that animated Transformers movie. So, I thought, okay, it can't go any higher, right? 85 to 115 million is now where they're tracking this at. 85 to 115 million. When I saw that, I was like, no way. There's no way. Because just a couple weeks ago, I said 80 million is ridiculously optimistic for this film. There's no way it gets that high. And now they're saying 85 million is the minimum that it is going to be able to get, and it could go all the way up to 115 million. It makes you wonder, what's going to be the projection next weekend? Is it going to go up to be like 100 to 130 million next weekend? So that'll be interesting to look at, to see kind of this weekend. We'll definitely be doing a video on it just to kind of see where this thing could go. But where do I think it could go? Probably like 110 to 120 would be my guess now. Yeah. No, I'm not joking. That's actually how high I think this thing could go. I'm shocked. I'm shocked that it even has a shot at opening to $115 million. Like, that's ridiculous. That's just insane. And it would be only the second time in box office history that we've had a film open above 100 million in September. It just blows my mind that this even could happen. And that it would be Beetlejuice. I would think if a film would do it, it's going to be another It film, maybe It Chapter 3. If they wait long enough, have some time between it, It Chapter 2 and It Chapter 3, maybe It Chapter 3 could come out in September and do it. But even some of the bigger films that have come out in September, none of them have been able to hit that $100 million threshold. And this film may not just get it; it may clear it. It may smoke 100 million. Like it may just destroy that. It could go higher, and it opened to 123 million, which is the biggest opening ever for September. So if this thing ends up continuing to get bigger projections each weekend, there's a shot this thing could actually outgrow it and be the biggest September opening weekend in box office history. Well, then that begs the question: how big does this film end up going in the long run? And I think Beetlejuice is one of those films that if a film opens to 120 million, you ideally pretty much guarantee $1 billion. I would say that if you took a chart of all the movies ever that opened over $100 million, or 120 million, I should say, pretty much all of them would probably have ended up at $1 billion. That just seems very, obvious. I feel like most films would do that. It obviously didn't because it is a R-rated serial killer clown horror film based off of Stephen King's novel, right? It's not for the general audience. And so I think that's a situation we're going to have with this one. Most people may look at 120 million and be like, this thing has a shot at $1 billion. I definitely don't think it has a shot at $1 billion. Even if it opens to 120 million, there's no way it gets to $1 billion. It just seems too out there because it just doesn't feel like it's going to hit with the general audience. It feels like it's going to be similar to it. But there's also an argument against that most people would argue that it's going to be similar to Top Gun Maverick. It's a long-awaited sequel to an 80s film, right? Just like Top Gun Maverick was. And Top Gun Maverick opened similarly. It opened to 120 million, so this thing could open right with Top Gun Maverick. And Top Gun Maverick ended up being the fourth biggest film of all time domestically. Let's see. Let's go to all-time domestic here. It is the fifth biggest domestic film of all time at $718 million. So if this film opens that high, you would think it would be like, okay, so it's going to probably get to $500 million then at least domestically. I don't think so. I think this is going to be one of those films that you have all the nostalgia and all of the diehards of the original film going to see this opening weekend, and then it's just going to fall off after that. It's just there's not going to be enough audience for it to fuel the film, because if you look at Top Gun Maverick had a 29% drop from weekend 1 to weekend 2. It had a $90 million second weekend. 29% drop is unheard of. That's absolutely unheard of. Like 29, like if you have a 40 in the 40% drop range, that's incredible. 30% range is like mind-blowing, record-breaking. 29%? That's unheard of. Like that's never been done before. So if Beetlejuice wants to catch Top Gun Maverick, it's going to have to do that, and I just don't think it can possibly do that. I don't think it's going to have the legs to be able to pull that off. But who knows? Maybe you guys think it will. Go ahead and comment down below if you think Beetlejuice can top Top Gun Maverick, or if it can just even make $1 billion. Right? Do you think it could? If it opens to 120 million or even higher than that, possibly, do you think it could make $1 billion? Who knows? It does also come down to the international numbers. Can this thing be a hit overseas as well as domestically? If not, then it definitely won't hit $1 billion. If it can be a hit outside of the domestic area, then maybe it can. Maybe it can hit $1 billion. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you subscribe if you like this video, and obviously comment down below what you think this film can possibly do. How high can it go? And I'll see you guys later.